Hello, and how you doing, fellow kids? Welcome to another Deep in the Shadow podcast, your favorite nobody known podcasts of the week. After all, for all, I'm sorry, for all, please subscribe on YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram and on Spotify. If you are on Spotify, please like the episode and add the d.i.t.s in your list of podcasts. Please follow d.i.t.s, and that's it. How you doing? I'm very happy on making this because I started to make short videos. Isn't that common? I don't have that time, and I needed to take the clips with the editing because I have this issue. I'm trying to use some AIs for uh, helping the process, but they're paid. Maybe there is a free AI for me using it, but I don't know yet. I'm kind of lazy on that spot. I helped did a lot, the clip making, but that's it. That's it. It will help. I will, you know, make this something great with a lot of clips and a lot of followers. But I'm happy with this growing, and let's go with this most special episode of this in a long time. Guys, I know that I shouldn't be talking on things that it's that mainstream, and you probably heard a lot of opinions on this scheme in specific, but I don't care. I don't care because I am a normie, and always. But no, it's not that. It's just I was so hyped on Superman's movie, and finally I could watch it. I watched it before the release. I watched it in day 9, a day before the real deal. And I am amazed. I'm recording on the weekend, 4 days after watching it, and this will be a special show, not just because the Superman, but I want to talk about comic books, and it will be one of these great, these long blocks on me talking about something that I like. But let's begin with Superman. I I followed the process of this movie go to the theaters since the little spark. I watched the DCU fails, the DCEU, the DC Comics expanded universe on cinema fails with Zack Snyder and that bullshit of Aquaman and these stuff. I I remember to read that James Gunn was the new CEO of the DC, the creative CEO of DC, and that James Gunn would direct a movie on Superman in that way. If you want something well done, do it yourself. James Gunn did it, and I followed every single news about Superman since the day one on James Gunn choosing the cast, the James Gunn casting, and the release of the cast, and then the first trailer, and the days were so slow. I know I had. I'm poor. I should work, but these little things is so grateful for the soul, for your mind. If you're a fan of these things, you follow these. It just makes the day better. Makes your day better. And then the first trailer, the second trailer, the TV spot, the pre the sale of the tickets I bought, and the day that was released, I set the day where me and my brother, my girlfriend, and his girlfriend went to the cinema. And on that moment, I remember that movie, the Nerds movie. I don't remember the name. I think it's Nerds. That's that's a movie about a group of guys who are so excited for seeing the Phantom Menace, the Star Wars Episode One, and one guy is, I think he has cancer or something, and they travel the whole America, and in that moment he asks us, "What if the movie sucks?" I thought on these, but I'm so glad to say that Superman movie did not suck. I am so I'm so happy that this movie on which I hyped so much is not bad. Why I say this? Because I am a big fucking nerd on comics. On the limit of with comics I can read by studying and working and buying. Comics are expensive in Brazil. I am very fan. And Superman is not a movie for normies. For it's a if you are a normie, if you don't are into comic books and this stuff, you will just walk in the cinema. You will watch a great movie, a fun movie. You will laugh. You will get excited of some scenes, and head back to your place and fuck your wife and sleep well. But this movie is clearly made by a nerd. We all know that James Gunn is a nerd. He's a fucking nerd, and made for nerds. You listener that read comic books, that is used to that mythology, that understand that the whole fails on the comic book way of narrative, that holes that the pulp literature has a lot, that all the way of art has, the comic book has. And this movie has all the fails that a comic book usually had. A lack of logic, a lack of some explanation, but it's just how I liked. I said on that episode of Red Dead Redemption 2, these lacks, these mistakes also came with identity. That's comics identity. These fails identifies a story as a comic book story. And Superman has all of it. Superman have all of these mistakes, all of these plot holes that is common for a comic book. Doesn't matter where the kaiju, that big monster, doesn't matter where that monster came. Doesn't matter how Lex Luthor is that intelligent. Doesn't matter. It's just fun. It just works. And that's very common on comic books. I struggle a little to understand that when I first read comic books. I read it and I was in a very cinephile way of thinking. That usual, oh, that's lack of logic. But as the time flies, now I just want to read the most stupid comic book ever and have fun. I'm reading now the Fantastic Four by Ryan North. It's Rising to Brazil by Panini, and Fantastic Four naturally is something that it's way turned on sci-fi, so we can't judge like that. But anyway, has all these failures, and I don't care. I don't care if it's kind of childhood, kind of childish. I don't care. It's fun. Comic books is it's an art, so you can read it in that serious way of Shakespeare. Yeah, if you read an European comic book, or even American, Brazilian, that is more serious, more artistic. Okay, you can do it, fine. But I want to have fun too. I want to have my little superhero kicking someone's ass, and I am tired of not wanting this. Of course, there is space for deep stories, for important stories, but must have space for the silly ones. And I know a friend who's maybe listened to this that will make this an argument for stupid music, for trap, for hip hop. Okay, you're right, and I don't understand about music enough to to argue against you. But anyway, how it began, the comic book love, my comic book love, I really don't know. Uh, as every kid, as every child, I always loved superheroes because I know every child likes, dinosaurs, likes superheroes, and likes ninja. Every male stuff that is kind of cool, the kid will like. But usually, when you grow up, you turn your tastes. And of course, I don't have that nostalgia that the most of guys was, because I never read that much of comics of Marvel, DC, superhero comics when I was young. When I was young, I just watched the superheroes, the cartoons, the movies, but I never was a reader, because there is in my head there is this leap of difference on what I do, what I've done. Let me do it again. There is this giant leap of the movie, the mainstream, and the comics. Yes, the comics indeed are kind of mainstream. We're talking about DC and Marvel. But I'm not just DC and Marvel fan. I like to get deep in the shallow. Huh? So I'm a classic nerd. If I like something, I will get deep on it. And I am a kind of while getting deep on comic books. And it's so different because when a friend of mine start to talk about it, I start to get nerdy. And and maybe this friend will just like, chill, man. I just watched the cartoon. I just saw this movie, and I was, no, but didn't Spider-Man the Amazing Comics number 345? I know that's lame. That's kind of boring, but I like it. I like it, and I have these really giant leap because I don't get in love with comic books when I was a kid. It is an adult stuff, you know. I started to collecting comic books. I start to reading real comic books, reading, full arcs, full phases of drawers and writers. I started to do it as an adult because when I was a kid, I never read a Marvel and a DC. In two cases. The number one reason, I just don't want. I just don't want. I don't. When I was a kid, I was not that reader. I was not a reader kid, a kid genius. I just like to do whatever. And the second reason is comic book in Brazil. On when I was a kid, it was not such a common and accessible thing. It's not that cheap. Today, I'm an adult. I take my salary and I buy a comic book, an omnibus, anything like that. But when I was a kid, I needed my mom to buy this. And how the fuck I will convince my mom on buying a 550 buck comic book? Hell, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. She never would bought this. But I don't remember the step. I think the MCU or maybe some movie get that sparkle on, and I just was I don't want to get shallow on these anymore. I want to get deep. I want to be a real nerdy. So I start to reading, and time flies by, and here I am. I have a lot of comic books. I always buy more. I always want to read more, not just the America stuff. Okay, DC, Marvel, Dark Horse, and Image Comics. No, I want to read everything because I like the art. I discovered that I like the art of comic books way ahead of liking the heroes. I could be that guy who just read hero stuff and never read anything beyond that. A Japanese stuff, a European comic book. I think for lucky, in the lucky way, I like them all. So at the same point that I like, that bullshit on the 90s and Spider-Man and muscle men and muscle women beating assholes, I also like the Tintin, the Adventures of Tintin. I like Snoop. I like the Smurfs, and I like the a real artistic, deep, deep comic on the made by an European, smoking a cigarette and thinking about feminism, and I like that shit too because I like art. I like the comic book art, and I am a comic book art preacher. I always try to show that art from for the others. If you're a friend, you will listen to me talk about comic book heroes, but if you ask me for a comic book, probably I wouldn't recommend you a superhero, a Marvel DC Comics. I would recommend you a Brazilian one, a artistic one, and an independent one, because I think that is I think it's important to make the people, the democratic people. It's important to make the friend, make the person likes the art of comic books first, then read comic book heroes. Because if you understand how the art works, maybe you could give more value on a shitty Spider-Man story. You can get the value of that. You can understand that. Because if I take, my, let me see, a friend of my girlfriend, a woman friend of my girlfriend, and I give her the Superman the Action Comics number 200 of 73, a random one, and take read this. The chick will open the book, see a lot of stupid characters on stupid ways and Superman doing stuff, and she was like, "Oh, what the fuck? I don't want to read that. That's bullshit," and toss it off. But if I offer this chick a, let me say, mouse, the European American comic book about Nazis and World War II. Well, you listen. You're reading art. You're reading something different, something deep. And then I offer she a postmodern comic book. Oh, look at this. Look this psychedelic way of drawing. Oh, that's good. That's good. And then after a couple of comic books, I handle she, I handle her a random Superman. She probably would not like it the same way, but she will understand. She will understand more the art behind it, and couldn't couldn't even like it. Could even like it, because if you make the opposite way, you make the person likes more of the superheroes than the art, these people will be a stupid person. Probably, I did this way, and I'm not a stupid person about comic books, but this person would be a jerk, only reading superhero stuff and not understanding the difference of on quality of or this thing. In Brazil's YouTube, in international YouTube, whatever, there's so many content creators about comic books that just don't understand a shit. And the same way of these asshole complains about a fucking great story, this same asshole enjoys a stupid, shitty story that no one cares. That's the that's the balance. That's the balance of the universe. And I I I must jerk my brains off and come ideas right now. But I am very happy that Superman make me feel like a comic book reader on my beginning. It's just a random and fun stuff. These days, I still collect comic books. I love it. My girlfriend give me a gift, a very special gift on the Superman release date. That is a All-Star Superman Absolute, so kind of expensive, but way pretty. It's big. It's at this. It's hardcover. There is an external box around it, and very luxury, very luxurious. And I'm so happy. I'm saying that because I am very happy about Superman and this period of my life, and it's nice to have comic books around you when you're growing up and getting new experiences. And that's it. I did not have to jump on the shopping mall's net because of Superman, because it was a really good movie, and I talked a lot about comic books. But that's it. I love comic books. I love collecting comic books. And yes, I am a fucking nerdy. Well, I don't want just talk about nerdy stuff because I'm not define myself only as a nerd, but there is this news that I want to share my opinion. That is kind of unknown. Probably you will listen this way after the thing happened. That is the goodbye of Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath. It's a shame that this show is released on YouTube and on Spotify. If you know Spotify listened to my prayers and made me a Spotify exclusive, I could I could I would be talking about this with Black Sabbath playing on the background. Probably is playing some random metal. I will just search metal song, no copyright, and that is what is playing on the background. Because I really want to talking about Black Sabbath, listening to Black Sabbath, and it's not just a show. It's not just a full theater. It's something way bigger than anyone and everything. It's the goodbye. It's an how can I say? It's a tribute of metal itself. If you're not into metal that much, Black Sabbath is the father, the most important band of the genre. Okay, metal is not rock and roll. It's different. Okay, just like a just like rock isn't blues or folk or anything. Metal is not. Probably in the beginning it was just a heavier rock and roll. But no, today metal is a different way. You can like metal and not like rock and roll. Probably you like rock and roll and don't like metal, and that's totally okay. It's a completely different genre with its own peculiarities and complexities. I like metal. It's not my favorite genre, and Black Sabbath is the father. If you are more into video games, you will understand that parallel. That is, Black Sabbath is the Doom of the first-person shooter games on music. As Doom was important for the FPS, Black Sabbath was for the metal genre. Of course, some say that King Crimson and 21st Century Squeeze Man was the real first metal music. Some say that the Beatles started the metal, because if you take some peculiarities that is in on most metal music and put on some the Beatles music, you couldn't. And the favorite band of all the four Black Sabbath members, it's the Beatles. The favorite band of Ozzy Osbourne is the Beatles. Yeah, maybe the Beatles is the father of the metal. We'll never know. The heavy metal, we will never know. But Black Sabbath is loved by anyone. If you have a heavy metal band, a thrash metal band, you probably adore Ozzy Osbourne as your God as your preacher. The Prince of Darkness is reaching 75 years old. That's crazy. Of course, I'm too young to feel any nostalgia on of the young Ozzy Osbourne. So it's a fake nostalgia, maybe. But when you listen, there is no way when you listen some music, some albums, some experiences for the first time, you kind of feel like how was in that time when you listen a Jimi Hendrix, the Jimi Hendrix experience. You can be a young on the 21st century who will never buy a house, but for that moment you feel like a young guy on the 80s, on the 90s, on the 70s, with that twist of hope. And even if I just known Black Sabbath yesterday, watch that. What that album. Listen to Sabbath. To Sabaton. I'm sorry. Listen to listen to Paranoid. Listen to Iron Man, and then being jumped on the present day, and look at Ozzy Osbourne. It's nuts. It's crazy how age comes, and how rock and roll lifestyle can destroy you, right? Ozzy Osbourne it's kind of disease, kind of health stuff, like he have Parkinson, he has way difficult health issues, but the man sniffed a ant an ant. The man sniffed cocaine as it was. I don't know, the crayon, the crayon of the blackboard. The man used every drugs known to men, known to human, every drug that mankind devolves, every alcohol way of humankind divine. Ozzy Osbourne consume it. So yeah, that's why he has 75 looking like 100-year mummy, cuz he's kind of destroyed. But it was but talking about the concert, it was a fucking tribute. It's very a colleague of mine, a colleague of work told me that Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden wasn't there. And then I noticed, well, what the fuck? Why Bruce Dickinson didn't come up? Anyway, everyone was there. In the I will not trying to say about Avengers, but about Super Smash Bros. When they announced it that everyone is here. Yes, everyone was there. Oh, yeah, of course, of the important modern heavy metal bands and the important old heavy metal bands. Even on rock and roll stuff. The Steve Tyler was there, the singer of Aerosmith. You had Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses. Now I will just start to say a lot of names that if you are not into metal, if you're not a metalhead, you will just ignore. But Metallica was there. Whole Metallica was there, and Race Against the Machine guys was there. Of course, just Tom Morello. And there was a lot of things. Even the Brazilian one, Eloy Casagrande, the batter of Slipknot, the newest batter of the Slipknot was there, and he was very happy on seeing the batter of Black Sabbath was there. He took a picture. It was very 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 pretty. Even Sepultura, I think, was there. I did not. I don't talk a lot about Sepultura. That probably is one of the most the most proudest thing that a Brazilian can have. That is, we are Sepultura owners, the great band of the thrash metal, behind Metallica and Megadeth. But I really like Sepultura. Probably a day I will make a blog, make a show about Sepultura, because there is some complexities about saying about Sepultura. But yeah, I love Sepultura. If you are a Brazilian, listen to me and thinks that I am a hound dog. This is not a hound dog. It's a how you say that? Stray dog. A stray dog. In Brazil, we have this term that is the stray dog syndrome, which if you are Brazilian and you don't like everything and you don't suck all of Brazilian culture balls, you are a stray dog. If you say, well, if you look into your friend and say, guys, I don't like to be robbed, I don't like to be assaulted and sound cars every place, you will be a stray dog. Anyway, I love Sepultura. That's it. And of course, it's a goodbye on Black Sabbath. Of course, it would be special and was special. Ozzy was in his chair, in his throne. Okay, Ozzy don't sits in a chair. Ozzy sits in a throne, and it was really, really fantastic. I'm hoping that sooner someone will release it on a streaming platform, and I will of course watch it because it's very important. Because I like a lot of bands that play there. Metallica play there, Guns, and I'm into a lot of Guns and Roses, but Guns played, Sepultura played, and a lot of other ones. But what's important, of course, it's Ozzy Osbourne and the Ozzy Osbourne band and musics, and of course the final Black Sabbath concert, the epic Black Sabbath concert. I think they played Paranoid, the most famous one, War Pigs, Paranoid, Iron Man, and there was one more. I think Black Sabbath itself, the music Black Sabbath, and it's a goodbye. It's a goodbye. It's if you like metal, probably you have your own favorite bands. You probably like Gojira. You like a Rammstein and a lot of other bands. But I see when I talk to a metalhead and metal friends, everyone has so respect on Black Sabbath, and I don't, because when I talk about Metallica, there is one of two guys that Metallica is shitty, it's a shithole. When I talk about Rage Against the Machine, that is one of my favorite ones. Rage Against the Machine, it's too bad, but no one complains about Black Sabbath. I think it's respect, because on music they are great. They are probably the best, one of the best. But I see a lot of respect on Black Sabbath, and that's maybe why that goodbye, the last concert, the back on the beginning, was so important. And it's a this show on its very little way, very little power on the world, has the chance of saying goodbye, Ozzy Osbourne. Get rest, God sake, rest a little, sleep a little, and enjoy your retirement. And it's our tribute, it's my tribute on Black Sabbath and whole metal. And I would like to be speaking with the backtracking of with the backtrack of a metal song, but You can finish this block with this random generic metal. Let's go. Go on, editor. I think that's it. A little more short show, a shorter podcast, because I will have a really busy week. I will have to record it, because probably I will travel next week. But I am very proud of what I'm doing, what I'm building. I I like to record in these podcast, this show in specific, and I hope that you guys are like are enjoying it. You know, that's what I'm doing. I want the new ones who are listening have fun and have these white noise on your house, on your life, and keep going. If I say something fun, great. If I say something good for you, for your life, this podcast was not that good, but if I say something that is good for your soul, thank you, and please keep following this. If you liked it, if you like this podcast, and if you like the whole idea of the podcast, the project, please subscribe on YouTube channel. Follow me on Instagram, the d.i.t.s podcast. Follow on the Spotify as well, the Deep in the Shallow. If you search d.i.t.s, probably you wouldn't find, but the Deep in the Shallow. And I hope you guys a wonderful week. Watch Superman. It's way fun. And let's give money for Warner Bros. Too. They made another good movie and they understand that we want nerdy movies. Thank you a lot and have a wonderful week.